Hey everybody, it's Pete. Good morning. Welcome to today's episode of Stock Trading Pro and today's Stock Market Live. A bunch of stuff to talk about. The raging momentum bull market that we have in the stock market right now. NIO stock reported earnings and whether or not the breaking of the downtrend is going to lead to a new move to the upside. Order flow is stacked to one side of the boat and the stock futures are actually up again this morning. When will it end? When will this bullish run end? I think one of the biggest things that we've been talking about inside of our bootcamp community right now is large cap stocks have carried the load. And if you go back to Monday's video that we did, we actually said that last week coming into this week, paying attention to sector rotation, which I'll show you in just a second, is really where the focus is right now, because as long as Apple and those kind of stocks are catching a bid, and if you go back to yesterday, we actually built an argument for starting to build a position in Facebook, which we did yesterday over that 218 level. It's pretty interesting. It's actually really interesting. We had a swing trade in Caterpillar that we initiated a little bit earlier, and that one has not followed through yet. Still hanging there in there, but industrials are not catching a bid the way that technology is right now. Financial stocks are a complete dud right now. They're not doing anything, which we're kind of, if you know the stock market and you know the history of the stock market, we're kind of having the opposite happen of what should happen, which on the surface, I'm sure is driving a lot of investors crazy right now with the specter of interest rates going up by the Fed, which is, according to them, absolutely happening and maybe even more aggressively than they originally anticipated. Tech stocks should be going down and financial stocks should be going up, but then there's a whole conversation around other reasons why financial stocks are not going up. But if you are paying attention to the tape, if you are paying attention to order flow and stacking the order flow in multiple time frames, and just using the raw data, order flow and tape reading, and sticking away from the headlines of what should happen, war, Omicron is getting worse again over in a different country. And all the other stuff that's going on, we should be going down. And this is what separates profitable stock traders from everyone else. This one thing, there's a big difference between having a bias that you map out in your game plan from having an opinion. An opinion could be long-term and you could be correct, but timing into those ideas is what's very, very important. We got a good question on last night's coaching call, which I'm actually going to show you the entire call. It was a long one. I'm going to give you all the questions because on Fridays, I like to give you stuff to ponder over the weekend to try and level up where you are right now. But we're actually going to start out with NIO stock and play that into what we think is going to happen going forward. And we're actually going to set some price targets on that. So stick around. Be back in just 1 second. Okay, so good morning, everybody. Welcome. Today's Stock Market Live is it's going to be a good one. There's so much to talk about right now. The stock futures are actually up again right now. The S&P 500 futures are up 15 at this point. I'm going to make a little bit of a, I don't know if I'm going to say prediction, but the way things are trading right now, we're actually pushed up. We paused. I do believe we're going to see a little bit of profit taking today. I'll walk through that in a little bit more detail, but I want to go over to NIO stock and break down NIO stock and do a little bit of analysis. I want to say hello to a couple of my buddies from inside the community. LJ, good morning. How's it going, pal? Good to see you always. John Lash, what do you think about the boot camp so far? I know you took the plunge and you were on last night's call. That was a long one, wasn't it? And I want to make sure I get over to my pal. Where is he? John Bates. John Bates, good morning. Always good to see you, my friend. All right. So now we're going to get into it. We're actually going to take a look. Oh, John Weinberg. How's it going, buddy? Good morning. We're going to actually get into NIO. We're going to get into NIO stock. First, we're going to take a quick look at the futures. The market is actually still up at this point. This is where we are this morning. Just an amazing, amazing run that the market's on right now. I will tell you this. A lot of people right now are confused, to put confused in a good way, because everybody's asking right now, especially active day traders. Active day traders right now, you're either in heaven or you're in hell. There's really no separation right now, because if you're in heaven, you're doing what we do, is we just stack the order flow, read the tape, and we just trade what we see. Those traders that are now trying to pick a top for the last 3 days, and really for this week, after just the 1 day down the other day, are pretty frustrated, especially the way that the market traded yesterday. The follow-through that we got yesterday was just absolutely amazing. Once we broke out in the I want to say probably like around 10:30, 11 o'clock yesterday, which, by the way, that was a question that we had last night. We're gonna touch on that in the coaching call. Yep, actually, where is Catherine? That's right. Actually, Tilray, TLRY is actually up this morning. Thank you so much. And by the way, Catherine, I hope you're doing great. So anyway, what we want to talk about is NIO stock. Did NIO stock break the downtrend? How does NIO stock being affected by the other electric vehicle stocks? If you've been tracking the order flow, again, like we've been talking about, the electric vehicle charging stocks have actually been a stronger group for us to be profitable in this week, and actually the last 2 weeks, as opposed to the electric vehicle stocks. The electric vehicle stocks were mostly in bearish order flow until the last few days, and NIO just reported yesterday. So let's actually pull that up and give some context to what we're talking about here. So looking at Barron's, NIO scores a beat with sales. So again, the new people into the market, the new people looking at the stock market. I don't understand, why is the stock going down if sales were better? Last I looked, it was down $1, so it's actually up a little bit now compared to where it was before. So again, what we're looking for is this. We are paying for tomorrow's sales, not today's sales. Again, if you want to write something down about being smart in the stock market, when you're looking at it, especially on the investing side of things, we get a lot of people that come in and talk about earnings reports, what the company did, and they're trying to build an argument for a little bit longer term play. Obviously, that's how the stock market works. We're not paying for what they did. So remember, what they reported is for last quarter. The guidance, the expectation, and especially the growth expectation is what we're paying for going forward. So what they put out here is their forecast was disappointing. And that's actually why the stock is trading lower right now, which you can see here. Now, the interesting thing is, if you know classic technical analysis, yep, Tom, that's exactly right. Exactly. So if you know classic technical analysis, now we've actually broken the downtrend. So we've been selling off in NIO since November. So let's actually put both of these up on the chart here just so we can really bring this home. So we've had this bearish order flow. And if you remember twice, I think in the last week or last 2 weeks, I want to say, we started to point out that the tape was changing a little bit here, and we saw these massive spikes in volume in NIO. Now, there was the dual listing of NIO being on 2 different exchanges. There is the possibility of delisting, which is why I believe that they went to dual listing to protect themselves, to make sure that they have liquidity to trade. Take that out of the equation. Let's just say that we're actually looking at NIO stock. We're breaking down NIO based on price action and volume, which is a small part of tape reading. Something was changing. So somebody, again, deep pockets, again, let's use Andre as an example. Let's say Andre has a hedge fund and his research team is getting in there and saying, wow, NIO down at $14. That's a pretty good deal. Even if they come close to what they're expecting to do, I believe that we should start to look for a position. If anybody's watched the television show Billions, you see all that kind of stuff going on behind the scenes where they're building arguments based on something other than the charts. They're actually looking at it, which actually is what ends up moving the charts. Let's see, got a little more detail here. Hey, Min, NIO losing about 3.7 million per day last quarter. That's a big deal. So we got a lot of people that are in love with the electric vehicle stocks. Obviously, Tesla stock is at the top of that list. NIO has now broken that downtrend. So what I want to point out here, and again, one of the things we talked about on last night's coaching call is you need to start to see what's not there yet. And then you need to start to put together the pieces of, if this happens, then I plan to do this. So if we are mapping out an idea in NIO, so you see we actually broke the downtrend. Let me actually come off the screen here. We broke this longer term bearish order flow, and we've started to push to the downside, right? And we mapped this out yesterday. We broke it here and went into a box. We broke it here, went into a box. We broke it down, and then we started to trade in what a lot of people call accumulation type volume. And if you remember what we talk about, heavier volume usually reverses a move. And we start on the way down, we started to see heavier volume. We got this push up. So the fact that we broke this downtrend is interesting. So now we would start to draw a box where it stopped. So let's actually just take a look at that price action. I believe that that is actually something that we drew. We got to get that off of there. So right there is the box. Now let me get the volume off of here simply to make this a little bit cleaner. So we have that price and we have that price. And now what's kind of interesting is you can see that it's pretty obvious after the fact that the stock has been stuck between these two price levels. So breaking the downtrend, breaking the bearish order flow is only a part of the trade. That's actually where now it starts to perk up and become interesting, but it's not a trade yet. And that's the biggest thing that I want to point out, because there's another bigger technical pattern unfolding here in NIO that could be pretty interesting. So we know that the news came out now. Now, the question in the back of your mind, that heavy selling, and this is the same thing that we talked about with the FOMC announcement about a week and a half ago, where we said, people are like, I don't understand, why is the stock market going up after the Fed announced that they're definitely going to raise interest rates? Well, we sold off for the prior 10 weeks prior to that. It's not the day of the announcement that you should be looking at. It's, did smart money, did the market, did Mr. Market, like Benjamin Graham say, already price that in? Did the market already price in inflation? All of that news came out, and now we've been in this vicious bullish move to the upside. So now here's what's going through my head, okay? Has the market already priced in NIO's last quarter? And that was what priced in that big move to the downside and that heavy volume, where somebody down there said, we believe this is a good price down at $13, $14. So visualize this now. This pushes into the downside, pricing in what was just announced here yesterday. Okay? We're going to get to this in a second. Now we've rallied into the earnings and we're kind of hanging out here. So what is the next trade? Well, the biggest thing I want to point out here is, if you know classic technical analysis and head and shoulder bottom patterns. Now, again, I want to be clear about this, because this was a big part of our conversation last night on our coaching call, and I'm actually going to share that with you in a second. The conversation, somebody had made a comment last night, and I'll actually show you that in a second, about something about, does that mean that always happens? So in other words, we were talking about a chart pattern, a candlestick pattern specifically, and somebody had brought up the question, does that mean that something should always happen next? No, never, ever, ever say that something will definitely happen in the market. That is the fastest way to be separated from your money. Our job is to set up and stack the order flow. And I'm going to show you again, I'm going to show you the coaching call from last night. So I'm giving you context for what I'm about to say. I'm kind of selling what I'm about to say. NIO is actually forming a head and shoulders bottom pattern. But the right shoulder is not there yet. So I am visually thinking about what could happen next to make me have a little bit more conviction in NIO, which is, now that the earnings are out, looking for it to pause a little bit, forming that right shoulder, and then getting back above the box that we just formed. Is that a lot? Yeah, but that's professional trading. And by the way, I'm going to put out a video today, probably around lunchtime, maybe a little bit later today. Look for an update on that. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, make sure you hit subscribe so that you'll get the update when the video comes out. We get a ton of questions about game planning. And there was a stock, one of our new members, I don't know if Steve Menzel is on the call right now. Oh, actually he is. Good morning, Steve. So I'm going to give you a little prop here, Steve, in front of everybody. Steve called out a trade yesterday that he game planned out, mapped the entire thing out. I'll go by line a little bit later in the day. But the point I'm making is, do you see how I'm putting these pieces together? If this happens, if this happens, if that happened, then this happens, and then I'm looking for the next thing. It's not complicated. You just need to know which pieces to put where. So Steve put all those pieces together yesterday, and the stock that Steve game planned for yesterday, and it was a heck of a game plan, was this one. So putting these pieces together, and I'll do a video today to show you that exactly what Steve talked about, but the stock was up 12% yesterday. 12%. That's what game planning can do, and that's what putting all these pieces together can do. So if you know technical analysis, this is a shoulder, this is a head, and now we're looking for NIO to pull back from this level right here to this longer term downtrend, and that would form this side of the shoulder. So we're looking for it to go down, hold support at 20, and then eventually break out and start a new move to the upside. The reason I just said that thing about in the market never say always, is because we just mapped out a scenario, and especially the classic technical pattern, the head and shoulders bottom pattern. That's the framework that I am looking at for this stock right now. If you are currently overwhelmed in the market, if it's confusing to you, it just means that you don't have a roadmap. You don't have a map in your head of what perfect looks like, or of what the trade needs to look like and unfold to be. When you have that map, which again, our map is stacking the order flow. When you have that map, everything is easier because you know exactly what you're looking for. If it happens, go get them. If you have a map and that does not unfold, you just go over to the next stock in your list, and that'll be the next idea. So I just mapped out a scenario for the next 10 days in NIO, even after earnings, where I'm looking for a little bit of a pullback, hold that trend, and then the head and shoulders pattern and the top of the box, ironically, which is basically the same price, which is right here, bam and bam. That's really what I'm looking for. And then the next big question is, what would the target be if we do rally? And we basically have been using our handy dandy Fibonacci level. So we're looking up in, let me move this up in this area is going to be the first target, either 28 or 33, right up in that area. So that's how I'm game planning out NIO for the next 10 days. I'm looking for a little bit of a pullback, looking for that pullback to find support. I am now looking for going forward, assuming all that's priced in, and then start a rally after today's news gets digested. If that follows through, I will take the trade. If NIO trades down and doesn't recover and stays stuck in that box, and I'll show you what that box means again. If it stays, let me actually get this off the screen. If it stays stuck in this box, which is basically between here, then I'll just leave it alone. That's how you build out scenarios like Steve did yesterday in this stock, which actually takes me to the next idea that I want to talk about. I actually want to show you the rotation going in and out of the market this week, and the fact I want to give you stuff to think about over the weekend. Really, right now, that's actually the biggest thing, and then I'll give you a couple of stock picks. Rotation was everything this week, because if you remember, go all the way back to Monday's video, we actually said that the end of last week, large cap tech stocks woke up and approached some serious levels that mattered, and specifically the 50-period moving average. And we said one of two things is going to happen. If large cap stays there, the market to stage a pretty significant rally. They are carrying the market right now. So I just want to show you what I mean by that. And we're going to go over to our research document here. And I show this to everybody pretty much every day. So when we go over into the stocks in play, you can see over here, there's obviously the Dow, but these two columns here, and you can see the stocks that are the most heavily weighted in the market, both in the NASDAQ, specifically in the NASDAQ right now, but also in the S&P. So these are the ideas where you start to build out your list. So I just want to come back here for 1 second. So what I mentioned is a head and shoulders bottom. A head and shoulders bottom is bullish, not bearish. A head and shoulders top is bearish. So I just want to be clear, high R 152. We mentioned a head and shoulders bottom. I just want to be clear about that. Okay. All right. So going back into the point that I was making is, once you start to pay attention and understand if and when the large cap stocks are catching a bid, and you start to track that performance over the week, which you can see consumer cyclical and technology, and throughout the entire week have been staying there, and basic materials have been pretty strong as well. You start to see, again, technology heading into today. Technology has been at the top of that list for pretty much the entire week, going back to last week coming into Monday. So this is where stock trading and the stock market becomes a heck of a lot easier, because you're no longer chasing price. You are now following the money in and out of sectors. So smart money, again, let's just use Tom as an example. Let's say Tom has a hedge fund. Tom is allocating money based on his research analysts' ideas. So sometimes they're buying tech, sometimes they're buying large cap tech, sometimes they're buying electric vehicle charging stocks. Maybe today they're investing in NIO stock. But our job is to track and piggyback the smart money. So we track it, we stack it, and then we piggyback them. That's what we do. It's infinitely easier, even if you're day trading. We've been talking about this on the day trading side of things because our community has nailed this with such precision right now. We're literally tracking and stacking and piggybacking the order flow hour by hour now on the day trading side of things. So if you believe that the market is frustrating or challenging or hard to read, whether now or ever, it really comes down to you just need a roadmap. Because if you know this, if this is what you're looking for, it's pretty easy to tell if it's there or not. And the next level of trading to get to consistent is you only trade when it is there. Sounds really obvious, right? However, the amount of money that is lost in the stock market when what you're looking for is not there and you trade anyway, that's where you get into trouble. Then the other part of that is, let's say it is there and you do take the trade. The next two parts is what happens between entry and exit. If what you want happens, and again, I'll show you this again, as we're tracking the order flow from one day to the next throughout the week and tracking the top stocks inside of those sectors during the week. So if we break this down just a little bit more based on what happened yesterday, now we can break it down even a little bit deeper to determine and look at how technology is stacked in the list of 40 top stocks heading into the day. So do you think that you can find some ideas in either technology, healthcare, or basic materials? Heck yeah, we just showed you CLF. LAC has been a stock that we've been talking about for the better part of 2 weeks as well. And look at the order flow that's stacked there and finally got through that level. But what I want to bring into the picture is what we were talking about last week to actually set up the large cap stocks and how they took off a little bit extra. This is the level that a lot of people, myself included, view as a really significant level. And you can see the last time that's where the big selling started. So whether it's Apple, Tesla, even the SPY, all of them are above that level, which is actually what led to some pretty significant moves higher this week. So I want to challenge you, okay? In one sense, I want to challenge you to ask yourself, do you have a roadmap written down so that if you look at the market and say, I understand order flow, I understand how to stack the order flow, and I understand when there's something to do, when there is nothing to do, and fight the fear of missing out if there isn't. If there is, the next question is, how close do I buy it near the optimal entry? If you can buy it near the optimal entry, then you put the trade on with conviction. Then the only thing after that is identifying what is the right initial profit target in order for me to buy this stock right now based on the order flow and based on the optimal entry. Is that a lot? Well, how much money do you want to make? If you want to make a lot of money, and again, a lot is relative. For somebody, it might be $2,000 a month. For somebody else, it might be $25,000 a month. You have to take a little bit extra step. You know, I mean, the extra mile is not crowded because it takes a little bit extra work to get there. How much money do you want to make? How much confidence do you want to have in your stock market analysis? How much conviction do you want to have when you buy stocks, find the best stocks to buy now, and when you hit that buy button, how much conviction do you have? Doing that little bit of extra work of having a roadmap, which again, you can have my roadmap, you just got to join our community, but I'm challenging you. Now I'm going to take this a little bit further. If you want to make more, you have to do a little more. I know that's not popular on YouTube. Everybody wants to give you the easy button. You work hard, you get more. There's no other way to put it. How you spend your spare time will dictate how you spend your future. If you spend your spare time watching reruns, you're going to be the best person at Trivial Pursuit at every party you go to. If you spend your spare time doing this kind of stuff, you'll be amazed at how fast you start to move up the ladder and what's possible. So I want to give you some of the you can actually snapshot this. First, I want to let you snapshot the top ideas that we had going into today. So let me actually pull that up on the screen for you first. I'm actually going to sort this by order of where they were yesterday. So you can take a quick snapshot of this. You can see the list here. You can see the sectors that we were in today. You can see some of the stocks that we were looking at today. They have order flow in multiple timeframes. So I just want to give you a heads up on how to use this list, okay? That list is a list of stocks that meet the perfect order flow criteria over the last 20 days and yesterday. It does not mean that you just go out and buy them today. Then you have to go to look at each one of those stocks and determine if this stock that meets the perfect order flow, is it near an optimal entry point? Only then. Some of them might be too far. You might say, I can't justify that. We call that a bullish echo, where it's still obvious, but too far for a new swing trade. So you'd look for a different stock in that list to find something that's near an optimal entry. That's the first thing. So screenshot this, and then I'm going to pull in yesterday's coaching call, and I want you to see the type of coaching that we do. Last night's call was 2.5 hours. That's how much we got into it last night. It was an amazing, amazing call. And that's the kind of coaching that we have. We have usually around 10 hours of additional coaching every week inside the community, every month inside the community. So that's the first thing. I want you to take a snapshot of these ideas. You can give yourself some ideas other than looking at NIO stock today and electric vehicle stocks. Solar stocks have actually been pretty strong recently as well. The part that I want to show you now is what we discussed last night. I want you to take a screenshot of this, maybe watch the video more than once, and then get to the point where you admit to yourself, maybe I need to know a little bit more. Maybe I need to make the stock market a little bit easier than I'm making it right now. Maybe I need a roadmap. So if I can inspire you to go that little bit of an extra mile, actually, Mark's on the call right now, like I challenged Mark to do 2 days ago. Mark's in the boot camp, and I said, Mark, I want to give you personalized help, but you have to post your ideas into the game plan. And Mark stepped up. I'm very happy for you, Mark, that you stepped up. You got out of your comfort zone and you posted a game plan yesterday that we spent a lot of time reviewing. That's what it takes to be successful. You have to be actively involved and get out of your comfort zone. So again, I'm going to let you screenshot this, both the ideas and then what we talked about. So I'm going to pull this up. Be ready to screenshot it, or you can go back and watch the video. So here's the ideas, and you can see that there are 40 here. So let me actually zoom that out a little bit so you can take one big shot of that. And let me move that up a little bit. So you got the stock symbol, the stock, the sectors, and then the individual group. And you can start to see which one of them have been strong over a certain period of time. Now, this is really the big thing. Okay, so I'm going to actually zoom this out. This is our coaching session from last night, and it's 2 hours and 32 minutes. That's just last night. We have an average of around 10 hours of coaching call every month in the order flow community. If you'd like to learn more about what happens here and be involved in these calls, there's a link below the description. If you want to find out more about it, it says learn to trade stocks. Click that link after the call and you'll see what's going on there. Okay. So you can screenshot this stuff. I want to give you some ideas. Okay. All right. Obviously I started out last night with a bunch of motivation. I love to get people fired up. How to do research for stocks in play. And when I talk about stocks in play, this is actually probably one of the most unique parts of what we do in our communities. I'm giving you the research. So last night, I actually described how to use the research and how to mold the resources that you have to the stocks in the research document. So some people might be trading small accounts. Some might be people big accounts. Some might be day trading. Some might be swing trading. You take the research that I give you and you say, okay, these stocks match my skill level and the size of my account and my risk tolerance. So out of these stocks, I'll trade like these three, just to give you an example of what that means. Okay. So we also talked about, we got a deep dive into order flow stacking and what it actually means, how to set up your software to do it, and how to go stock by stock to really find the best ideas. Similar to what Steve Menzel did last night, just an amazing, amazing job. CLF exploded 12% yesterday. We got into the nitty gritty on the proper exits for swing trades. This was the comment that really got me going yesterday. Never, ever, ever say something is always going to happen. You get in trouble. Optimal entry point. We got into that in a big detail last night. We talked about margin accounts. This was a big topic of conversation last night as well. If you want to get to the point where you understand the stock market and you got some good, you hooked one, you got a good one, how and when do you add to winning trades? What is the right price to add to winning trades? And what is the right share size to add after it moves in your favor based on that whole game plan that you created for that stock? That's a big thing that we talked about last night. Really important, understanding how to pyramid into a position correctly. And the person who actually asked the question last night actually had it backwards. So it was kind of cool that we actually got to clear that up last night. Okay, so make sure you take a snapshot of this, okay? We talked about how to use our list of stocks on the bearish side of the market in case the market rolls over. And you know what? That's actually, I just want to bring that up as well, because we have longs and we have shorts, opportunities to buy stocks that I give everyone every night. And we have ideas on the short side. So we had a question last night about taking those short sale opportunities, the bearish stocks, and looking at them yesterday. Now, here's the point, and this is so important. If the market's screaming to the upside and you've game plan stocks to buy and you've game plan stocks to short sell, which, let's face it, is still on the table because, it's a vicious move to the upside, but we're still in a longer term move to the downside since January. It's exciting, but you still should be prepared on the other side of the market. So here's the thing, whether it's long-term or momentum, it's good to game plan both sides of the tape. But if the market's screaming to the upside, do not look for short sales. It's great that you understand how, it's great that you understand buying puts, but if the market's screaming to the upside, again, you have to be like a professional quarterback, which I never played football, but I watched enough of it. You go through your progression of what is the best idea, and that's how you make the trade. So if you have short selling down here, but the market's screaming to the upside, your progression should start up here with the stocks that have the strongest order flow. Never forget that. Go through your progression of the best ideas. And if you work your way all the way down to the bottom, you have to really ask yourself, should I even be taking that trade at all? So again, make sure you screenshot this thing. Pretty important. Okay. Building a list of your everyday stocks. That's critically important. And we kind of discussed that here by talking about stocks in play and using this list of large cap stocks to start to build a list of ideas that you trade every day, no matter what. We got into a lot of other stuff, a trading game plan, reviewing the process of how we do it, trading around earnings reports. Obviously, NIO, a big thing today. Is there a best time of day to trade? I think that answer last night surprised a lot of people. Interpreting order flow using different types of candlesticks, 3 significant levels to trade. Okay, you get the idea. So what I'm going to do is take a snapshot of this. I'll scroll down, and I want to challenge you to think a little bit deeper over this weekend and then come into Monday of next week knowing something that you didn't apply today or this week. Challenge yourself to be better tomorrow than you were today. So again, I'm going to scroll down this. These are topics for you to think about to see if you're applying them. These are critical things that we do every day. I want to challenge you to say, I don't use that. How can I improve that? I understand that. Maybe I need to go to there. So let's go over to the list. So you can take that list right there. You can see how deep we got. Then we got into volume in different scenarios. We got into Fibonacci levels, hour by hour example using Uber yesterday. And what was interesting about that trade is somebody went into the day completely bent on wanting to buy Uber yesterday because of the news in the taxi cabs in New York City. But the order flow did not give opportunities to buy Uber where it was an A+ trade at all. It was an okay trade at one point. But again, this is the difference between a bias and reading the tape. Your bias or an idea is like you're locked into that and you're going to trade it no matter what. And that's bad trading. You go into the building an argument of what's most likely going to happen. And then you read the tape and the order flow to say, wow, it's happening. And then you take a trade. But if you build that argument and it doesn't happen, you leave it alone and you go to another idea. That will save you thousands and thousands of dollars just staying away from trades that you didn't plan to take in the first place. So we're going to scroll down a little bit more. Okay, you can see the balance here. Order flow stacking using different candlesticks. How and when to never hesitate in a particular situation. And you get the idea. So take a snapshot of that. And this is probably one of the biggest things here, allowing the software to give you the top stocks. Once you understand order flow stacking and once you understand tape reading, you take the stocks that you did your game planning on, the ones that stack the order flow, you take those stocks, and then we did a whole other lesson on how to use your software to take the stocks that have stacked order flow and then give you the top stocks of those top stocks. It changes everything because now you're basically just saying, okay, tell me which ones I should look at right now. And then you look for entries. So hopefully you took a screenshot of all of that because I want to challenge you for this weekend to say what parts of what we discussed on our coaching call last night are you not using now? And how could that be a little bit more conviction in the current ideas that you're trading? So you just saw we have our 8:30 game plan meeting. So I have to actually get ready for that. You can see here it starts and the research documents and everything that we give everyone in our community. So I actually have to head over and give myself a little bit of a break before that call. So I want to thank you so much for being here with me. It's been an amazing week of trading. Hopefully that's been an amazing week for you as well. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. If you're new to the channel or you haven't done it yet, make sure you hit that subscribe button. I want to go over a game plan call today that Steven Menzel yesterday. I'm going to do a video later today. You'll get an update if you hit subscribe. And if this kind of stuff is fascinating to you and we're definitely helping you, please do me a favor, smash that like button. If you have any follow-up questions to what we talked about, leave those comments below the video in the comment section. And if you want to learn about attending these meetings, click the link in the description where it says Learn to Trade Stocks. Okay. Thank you so much, everybody. I really appreciate it. Have an awesome day and an awesome weekend. Thank you.